keep it real with ya.
Hey everybody, it's me Minu, back with another video. I feel about as good as my shirt looks, and my shirt looks like it doesn't fit. And I just spent 2 minutes trying to make it look like it fit, but it just don't do that. Anyway, so I was going to make a video about Ace Micro Labels because I wanted to go through a bunch of the new ones and even some of the not so new ones. But I'll be honest with you, I feel like shit. Everything hurts, and as we speak, everything hurts. And I got my plushies here. Well, I got my Squishmallows here. So I got Teresa. Oh, Teresa, let me get the light out of your face. I got Teresa, who's asleep. I got this guy. I don't know what this guy's name. Hold on. This guy is named Nathaniel. And then I got this one, who she's a little older, so I already ripped her tag off. I don't know what her name's supposed to be. But I got these to cuddle instead of my cats because they in timeout. Well, Morticia's really not in timeout, but Sadie is definitely in timeout because of she just decided that, you know, she doesn't want me to sleep anymore, so I can't deal with her. But if you've watched the ABCs of Me News videos, those of you who have watched it, I really appreciate it. A lot of you haven't. A lot of you don't go back and watch my past videos, and you are only here for the videos that I've made since the asexual discourse video, which is fine, but this video won't mean anything to you. But those of you who have gone back and watched those videos to, you know, support me and everything and to learn more about me, you know that I have several health conditions in addition to trauma. So in addition to having complex post-traumatic stress disorder, I also have a condition called paradoxical puborectalis syndrome, which basically means the muscles in your pelvic floor don't know how to relax. That's a result of trauma. I have IBS, which is a result of the puborectalis syndrome, because if your muscles in your pelvic floor don't want to relax, then you can't go to the bathroom. I have really, really bad periods, which is also a result of the pelvic floor muscles not knowing how to relax. So it makes my periods really, really difficult and horrible. All of that still, if you trace it back far enough, goes back to trauma. So it's like I have all of that in addition to my mental health stuff. So for those of you that care, I'm going to talk about what's happened in the past like 9 days. And, you know, hopefully some of you, you know, feel a connection with it or it helps you in some way. But I'm just gonna share how I'm feeling. And I know that some of you don't give a shit about anything that I have to say about my personal life, and you're only here for the ACE discourse. This is not an ACE discourse video. This is a video about mental health and healing. So if that's not what you're here for, you are free to click off the video. If you're willing to listen and you're willing to sit with me, let's talk about it. So I would say shit started to go downhill for me mentally last Friday. I went to my pelvic floor therapist, not pelvic floor therapist, my physical therapist who specializes in the pelvic floor. And she was moving a lot of my muscles around. So she had gotten to the point where there was like muscles, because like my muscles in my pelvic floor, like they don't look normal. You know what I mean? Because they're all bunched up into each other. So she was even like, there was a muscle that was technically supposed to be in my back that was pushing forward under my cervix. And then there were other muscles that are like surrounding the uterus and the cervix that were all just doing this when they're supposed to just sit like this, but they were all doing this. And she was like, this is why your periods hurt so bad, because these muscles are blocking everything. And they're squeezing on your uterus. And I'm just like, oh God. But as she was as she was moving those muscles out of the way and pushing the muscle in my back to the back where it belonged, towards the end of that, I got really, really emotional because it felt like I was having my period. And even though it was mostly a muscle thing, towards the end, I think I got really triggered because my period I've been getting my period for almost 2 decades now, and it's always been awful the whole time. And it's literally something that I run away from. Like, I take birth control pills, and I do not do that last week. I just keep going. I keep going. For the past 2 years, but not even past 2 years, past, I would say 8, maybe 9 or 10 years, I've been skipping that row. So I've been trying to skip my periods as much as possible. For the last 2 years, my gynecologist has actually known that I do that. Because before I was just lying, but they actually know that I do that now. And for the most part, it works. And I usually will only have like cramping and bleeding when I'm severely stressed. But if I miss one pill, all hell breaks loose in the uterus. They're like, we've been waiting for this moment for like months, like we're ready, let's go. And it doesn't, I can take my pills every day on time for the next 10 days and I'm still gonna be bleeding, because that's just how aggressive it is about me missing just one pill. I would hope that one day I can have normal periods to where maybe I won't need the birth control pills and I can just have a period and it won't be like the end of my life for, a week or two. But before I even got on birth control in my late teens, I was literally bleeding like almost all the time. Like, it would be like 3 weeks out the month, I would be bleeding and in pain, and then I'd have 1 week where everything seems okay again, and then it would start over again. So they get really, really bad. And even when I was on birth control, where I would take the pills, when it got to the time to actually have the period while on the pills, it was still crippling. And when I say I couldn't do school, I couldn't do my job, like, it was just way, way too much to bear. And I don't think doctors believe me. I will say it has maybe something to do with me being a Black woman. Or at the time when I was getting I got my periods first when I was like 8 years old. So I would say even as a Black girl, people did not believe me about how much pain that I was in all the time. And what's messed up is fibroids actually run in my family, to where a lot of the women in my family have had to have hysterectomies and have had histories of really, really painful periods. And my mother also had really painful periods and had a hysterectomy, somehow got amnesia and decided that I was lying about being in pain on my period. So thanks, Mom, for the additional trauma of not believing me when I say that I'm in pain. But yeah, I would go to the hospital and everything, and they would just be like, it's your period, deal with it, which is very, very frustrating. So that kind of triggered me. And she was like, you got to tell yourself that you're not going to have a period. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm not a manifester, okay? You got to give me more than that. And my therapist had even said, like, you're so analytical. Telling yourself you're not going to have a period is not going to work. Like, you have to literally logic your way into it. Like, you have to be like, you are not going to have a period because X, Y, Z, 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 Z. Like, all of these different things is what you would have to like justify in your brain for you to actually believe that you're not going to have a period. You can't just say, I'm not going to have a period. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. You just rearranged my organs, ma'am. I gotta, like, it's the blood been wanting to flow. If there's some blood up there, it's gonna come out. And I did end up bleeding. And so then I have that go on. And then Saturday, Yahoo decides to be a bitch, because no matter how many times I send stuff to spam, every now and then Yahoo is like, you might want to look at this though. And it's like, I never want to see the fake PayPal emails, you know what I mean? Just send them to spam. It's obviously not PayPal. But so it lets through a message from my mother. Here we go. Trigger warning for those of you with mother issues, because God. So basically the email is her being like, oh, I miss you, same old, same old. She tells me she started taking Lexapro. Okay. And then she tells me that she's going to start next month going to therapy. I was so upset. I felt so many emotions. I broke down crying. My cats, like Sadie and Morticia, didn't know what was going on. Sadie was like, oh, she's crying. Let me see what's happening. And like, she was trying to like figure out what she should do, if she should jump in my lap, if she should snuggle me. She didn't really know. Morticia was like, I don't know what these noises are that you're making, because I don't be crying, y'all. So Morticia was kind of like, should I be good right now or should I be bad? She didn't know. She kind of sat there for a minute, and then she was like, I'm going to go in the kitchen and play with stuff. And I was like, no, Morticia, this is the time for you to sit down and be quiet. But yeah, like, it was just like, I was just so upset, and I was feeling all of these emotions about like how, one, when you have a lot of trauma, it's really not your shit. You know what I mean? It's not your shit. It's someone else's shit that they put onto you. And now you have to go to therapy to clean up their shit. And so I was really, really upset, because I'm like, you're the reason I have all this shit that I have to deal with. I've been in therapy really most of my life, but I've been in therapy consistently for about almost 10 years now. And I'm still dealing with shit that you did. I didn't do nothing to me, as much as she would like to say that everything that happened to me was my fault. I didn't do nothing to myself. You did this shit. You put me in dangerous situations, and you abused me, and you allow other people to abuse me. You fucked me up. And you think that telling me that you're about to start to go to therapy is going to make me want to talk to you again? Bitch, you need about 20 years of that shit before we can have a conversation about what you did wrong. No. And I was super upset, and I was crying. I was texting my friends, and I was like, I hate this. Like, I really wish that I had real parents. Like, I have parents biologically, but I don't have parents. You know what I mean? Like, I have a dad, but he didn't dad. I have a mother, but she did not mother. You know what I mean? So it's like the stuff that my friends will talk about, even people who have difficult relationships with their parents, they still can like live with their parents. They still can talk to their parents. If they're planning to have children, they're like planning for their parents to be involved in their children's lives. First of all, if I ever was cursed to magically have a child, I am not allowing my parents around them, because I know that my parents are going to fuck them up the same way they fucked me up. And it ain't gonna be no situation where, the grandparents gonna be nicer to the grandchild than to, no, they literally believe that everything that they did was the right thing to do and is what you should do when raising children. I've seen them with my siblings' kids. You is not coming around my babies if I have them. I don't want to have them. But if some reason the universe, I popped up and there was a clone baby of me, they cannot come near these children, because I do not trust most of the people in my family to be around anything that I am trying to take care of and love. Anyway, so I got really, really upset. I was upset about the fact that I never really had parents growing up. I was upset about the fact that I've had to be independent for so long, because there was literally no other option. I had the type of parents who would throw you out. They did not care how young you were. You would be sitting outside at night. You know what I mean? I have the type of parents who were like, the second you are 18, you get out of my house, and I'm not going to support you financially. You know what I mean? So I was always in the situation where I could not really rely on them to help me out in terms of when I'm like distressed or something. And I don't have people like that who I can fall back on financially. It's all on me. It's always been on me, but it's all on me to make sure my bills are paid, and to try my best to eat groceries as cheaply as possible, to, manage my money in a certain way. Like, that's all on me. Like, my car, I had to get a car with a 482 credit score. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, I think it was 450. Anyway, that's all on me. I don't have, if I lose my job, I can go stay with somebody. I don't really have that as an option. So I was upset, because I was like, there are so many people who talk about how millennials, like, millennials are living with their parents because apartments and stuff is too expensive. No shit, my apartment's super fucking expensive, but it's this or the streets. And knowing the type of city I have, the streets is not going to be kind to me, because it ain't kind to the motherfuckers who's already there. So it's like, no. So I was very, very upset about that, about not really having the support system that other people have, not growing up with parents, basically. And it was just very, very upsetting. And I cried, and I was going to try to stop myself, but I was like, I remember my therapist said, let yourself cry. So I let myself cry for a good while. And then I was texting my friends about it. And, they try, you know what I mean? But they're super far away. So they can only text me or call me, but they can't sit there with me. You know what I mean? So I just let that go, and then I was like, you know what, fuck this day. And I turned off my phone and I drank some wine. I went to sleep for several hours because I was like, this day is over. And then Sunday I tried to be productive and do stuff. And that's why, like, the video from last week, I didn't make that then. In case someone says, well, you said AFAB again. I didn't make that video last week. I made that prior to the other video. And I was glad that I had to go up because I was so fucked up mentally. Go through Sunday trying to be a functional adult. Monday comes, I come into work, and it's a whole bunch of bullshit at work. Like, when I tell you, I've been telling my manager this because she had a hard time quantifying the amount of work that I do. In addition to all of my responsibilities, I manage the HR inbox, like the general HR inbox, like literally hr@mycompany.com. And we can get on a Monday as many as 310 emails. And I got to deal with all of that. And sometimes I have support from my coworker, and sometimes he has a bunch of other stuff that he has to do to where he can't really support me. So I felt very, very overwhelmed and upset. And I was trying to, when it comes to HR, some of these things, people don't want to hear what you got to say when you work in HR, but I'd be like telling people literally like, hey, bro, if you can't do this, you're going to have to be fired. Like, I need you to understand. Because I'm trying to help people keep their jobs, but they be acting like what I'm saying is not important and everything else is important. And I'm like, keep ignoring me. You going to lose your job. I'm not playing. I want you to have a job, but if you can't do this stuff that I'm telling you to, you going to get fired. So I'd be in those type of situations where people are just like ignoring me, not wanting to hear what I had to say. It felt very upsetting. And on top of that, I had also the company, like the whole HR team, we had come up with these rules and these processes and these procedures, and I was enforcing them, right? And I was following them, and people did not want to follow them. So they were coming at me trying to get me to not, trying to get me to go against what I had already said we were going to do, and being just very, very aggressive and pushy, like, because they really wanted things their way. And I just could not take it. I was sitting in a meeting that I was like, I don't even know what this meeting is about. What is this meeting? And I couldn't take it anymore. I was literally writing emails and messages and then erasing them because I was so fucking stressed out. I wanted to just yell at everybody. Like, I literally was writing stuff about, like, what part of this do you not understand? You know what I mean? Or I was writing emails where I was like, what did I say in my last email? I said no. Why are you still sending me emails if I already said no? My no is a no. Why are you still sending me emails and you're not even giving me a good reason why you want to go past my no? Like, I was so upset, and I was like, whoop, that's not the HR thing to do. You got to have your customer service voice on. So I literally was like, I want to scream at everybody. I can't do this anymore. I messaged my coworker and I was like, please, 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 I need your help. They always tell me to reach out for help. I need your help because I'm losing it right now and I just cannot do this right now. And then she was like, well, I'm too busy. I got too much going on myself. And I'm like, well, shit, then everything gonna have to sit here because I can't do it either. And so I texted my manager, hey, I'm losing it. I'm having a breakdown. I can't do this. I need to walk away. She said, are you okay? Do you need me to call you? I love her. But I was like, I can't say words. Like, I'm too upset. My brain's crazy. So I walk away. I text my therapist. I tell her what's going on, how I'm feeling. She texts me back trying to help me calm down. Obviously, she's got to go to sessions, though. So it's kind of delayed. And I texted one of my mentors, my 62-year-old friend, and she was like, trying to help me, reframe my thinking about things and to have more templates so that when people do say stupid shit, you can just send them the template and you don't have to think about their response. So they were trying to help me. It took me about a couple hours, say about two or 3 hours to calm down. And I came back, I had a meeting with my manager, and my manager was like, are you okay? And I kind of talked to her about it, and I just was explaining to her, I feel like no one's respecting my no. And I was already feeling from when my mother's email came through, I was still feeling kind of raw from that. So for me to come into work and to see where I've set these boundaries and these rules and people aren't respecting them was extra triggering. And so I was telling her, the way that people are treating our team is not fair. Because I'm the one being thrown under the bus as HR. I am not the stereotypical HR person that you might see in media. You know, I'm not the one who's chasing down people, trying to get people fired, trying to tell people's personal business. I'm not that person. I've met those people. I'm not that person. I'm literally trying to keep everybody jobs. Like, I don't think people really understand how hard I'm fighting for them to make sure that they can keep their jobs. And because I want people to keep their jobs and I want people to get paid more. I'm down for you getting paid more, but I'm also trying to make sure that you getting paid more doesn't mean that everybody else in your same department is now being underpaid because you got overpaid. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to maintain equality in our company, in addition to trying to help people keep their jobs and trying to keep people from doing things that's going to fuck themselves up and fuck other people up. And so it's like, I'm coming from a place of I'm trying to help, and they're coming from a place of shut up and do what I say. And I don't like those type of people. Now, don't get me wrong, my manager has my back and she's very kind, but there are other people in the company. It's not just her. So I said, the way people are treating me is just it's not okay. The way people are treating my coworkers is not okay. And it's very, very upsetting. And she was like, let's walk through this. Let's try to figure out how we can find a solution. I'm going to talk about this to our leadership. We're going to nip this in the bud. And so I gotten a lot of support for her. So I was happy about that. And then I had a call with my coworker who I had asked for help, who gave me all these fucking questions. And I had finally confronted her because she had been saying things that I was feeling some type of way about. When I was asking for help, that made me feel like she may have thought that I wasn't doing my job properly. And my manager was on that call and I said, I just want to assure you, I just want to make sure you know that I am doing all the things that you're telling me to do right now. Like, you just spent 10 minutes giving me suggestions for things that I've literally already done. And she's like, oh no, I'm not accusing you of not doing your job or anything. I'm like, well, I'm just saying that this is how I'm feeling when you say this. Cause I just could not deal. I did not have the patience to sit here for 20 minutes for her to go over everything that I've already done to tell me as if I didn't already do it. So I was lost. I was losing patience on that. And then on top of that, so that was all Monday. Can you believe it? Tuesday, I have a call with my manager and I'm explaining to her, like, one, because she had made a comment on Monday where she said that she felt like she was failing me as a manager. And so on Tuesday, when I spoke to her, I explained to her that she was actually doing a way better job than a lot of these other companies will do. And especially companies that I've been at, because I've been at companies where when you tell them that you're struggling, they yell at you. You know, they tell you to get it together. They tell you to grow up. You know what I mean? Because you're young, right? So they think it's appropriate to tell you to, like, grow up and be an adult and stuff like that. I told her that, like, I've literally, like, had psychiatrists write letters asking for me to, you know, be able to sleep at night, for them to say no. I've had situations where I've told them up front that I had a mental illness, for them to tell me that I think less of you as a person now. And from a manager. So that was very, very upsetting. I've had to get a medical accommodations at other jobs to allow me to take bathroom breaks. And so I was like, it's really hard out here. So for me to be able to be comfortable enough to say, hey, I'm having a breakdown, and you to be like, what can I do to help, is a whole different thing than what I've experienced at other jobs, period. You know, this was not, oh, Minu, go cry in your car and then come get back to work. This was like, literally, like, it's okay, step away and we'll talk when you get back, if you can get back. So she started crying and I hate it. One, I'm bad about people crying, but two, I'm also bad about people crying because of something I said. But usually when I tell people about my life, they end up crying, and I hate it because I don't want to make people cry. I'm not somebody who takes any enjoyment in that. But yeah, she ended up crying, and then that was Tuesday. And Wednesday, one of my coworkers messages me and it's like, I'm having a breakdown. I need to take off for the rest of the day. And I was like, ooh, take care of yourself. It's okay. I understand. You know, we'll do the best to handle it. Don't you worry about work. You just go and you relax. You be okay. And so then they dipped out. And then Thursday comes, and I didn't know about this until Friday, but then Thursday comes and my manager has a breakdown. And cause she's feeling like, you know, she's fighting for her team, and people are disrespecting us. People are throwing us under the bus. And so then Friday morning comes, and I talk to my coworker who's in a different time zone. So he works from my time zone, he works from, I think, like midnight to 9:30 or something like that. And he's at his breaking point. We have an hour and a half long conversation where he is just like, this is too much. The way people are treating us. This woman, they calling me on my personal cell phone and sending me messages and demanding things of me and talking to me crazy and Like, he was super upset. And I was like, oh, who the fuck is talking to you crazy? This is not, no, this can't fly. And it's like, and that's become a consistent pattern. Like, when we're putting out rules and guidelines that are really helping people, everyone's throwing fucking temper tantrums and trying to bully us. And the thing is, they go to other people first, and then instead of those people enforcing what we said, they're like, well, I'm gonna say no, but you really, it's really up to Minu. So you really got to go and like attack Minu to get her to say yes. And then people come to me and I'm like, why did you even email me to ask this stupid ass question when you know that we don't do this? Like, it was fundamental shit. It wasn't like something they didn't know about. I was like, you know we don't do this. Why are you asking me to bend this hard, fast rule? Like, what is going on? I'm getting 300 emails. I don't need to spend time responding to stupid ass questions about some shit that you know we don't fucking do. And it's not even like an employee's coming at me sideways. There was a couple of them. But it's like other people who are like, well, I'll just go over your head. I'll just go over your head. Go over my head then. Go all the way up to our chief HR person and let her tell you no. Leave me the fuck alone. But that's the thing is, it's like shit like that where they don't like what we say, so they try to run around and like find ways to get around it and everything. And it's like, I'm sick of that shit. I'm tired. I wish that people would respect my no. I'm trying to stand on my no, have my firm ass boundaries, and they is not fucking respecting it. So I meet with my manager again on Friday. We had to have an impromptu call. I feel like we spoke every day. And that's when she told me that Thursday she broke down. And I said, well, this morning our other coworker was at his breaking point too. And so that's literally the entire team and the manager. And she's been speaking with her manager regularly all week because she was like, the way people treat our team is unacceptable. And I was like, yes, I agree. And it's crazy how I told my therapist about her crying and how she felt like a failure as a manager. And then my therapist was like, but with everything that's been going on, she is failing you as a manager. And I was like, yeah, but I don't like to call people failures of anything. Like, it's one thing if you're trash, you know what I mean? But I often struggle with feeling like a failure. I never want to call anyone else a failure at anything. Now, when I say you fucked up, yeah, I would tell you if you fucked up. But I feel like she's been trying her hardest, and it's just really the attitudes that people have towards HR that makes them treat us this way. So it's not like she was failing me. It's not like she was failing in the sense that she didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? It was that she was failing in the sense that she couldn't get people to listen to her either, because they just will try to go over her head even. Because that's what happens when you work with a lot of older white men. They just want to do whatever the fuck that they want to do. And they will bulldoze anybody they can possibly bulldoze. And it's very upsetting. But hey, that's why they hired HR people to stop them. But if we're a bunch of women, me even in particular being a black woman, one of very few in the entire HR group, and you have these older white men who just want to bulldoze everything. You think they give a fuck that the young black woman said no? They don't care. But it was very upsetting, but it was also kind of validating because I didn't, like, for one, I had to admit to people that I had a breakdown. But for two, it was like, it's not just that I'm crazy or I'm emotional or I have my trauma or I have PTSD or whatever. Everybody on my team had reached their breaking point. So it felt like it wasn't just something that was the result of my messed up mental health. It was everybody felt this. And my manager even was like, is there some type of accommodation you may need? Like, what can I do for you to support you when you're having like mental health struggles? Which, again, amazing. But I was like, really, I just need you to be kind to me when this shit happens. Because if I was breaking down and you were like, no, you still have to lead these meetings and you still have to do all of this and do all of that, I would have just lost my shit, and it would have been a terrible day. But you letting me walk away for several hours and not penalizing me in any way, like, she didn't say, oh, clock out, you know what I mean? She's like, just go take your time. That allowed me to bounce back faster because I felt like people cared about me. People gave a shit about how I was feeling. And I told her that was a really big reason why my other coworker, who does not open up about her feelings, and she said this before, had to take the rest of the day off versus me only having to take a few hours off, because I was not pressured into continuing and trying to push through what was clearly a breakdown. You know what I mean? So I'm saying all of this to say, even if you don't have a good manager, the difference that someone just caring about how you feel makes in your ability to bounce back from mental health struggles is huge. It's huge. And I let her know that, like, I really appreciate that you were willing to support me in that way. Because I was able to come back and feel like I could do my job again in the same day versus me having to take a whole day off or having to take the next day off, you know, or having to go to a mental health facility because I just could not do it anymore. And I'm at a job where they make you get notes from doctors and shit before they let you go. You know what I mean? So I didn't get fired for having mental health struggles like I feel like I have been in the past with other jobs. So that was a big thing.